Hey everybody, this week's episode of the R&R Show is brought to you by Floodgate Games. And hello Ruel, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Richard. Thank you. And how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Kind of a little exhausted after all the work my wife and I have been doing with Jen's Ukrainian fundraiser. She has raised over $10,000 now. And she brought so many orders in. She eventually had to shut them off because she's going to be making these little Ukrainian witwat until probably mid or late April. But it's been so absolutely amazing. We are just so... I can't even put into words just how amazing the generosity of the board game geekdom has been stepping up, and I hope everybody out there enjoys your little witwad and the notes that Jen threw into the packaging and all of that. Phew. But there is no rest for the weary because we're here to talk about games because it's Tuesday or Wednesday if you're watching this later.
That's right. So it is Tuesday. We are here at the R&R Show. Thank you for joining us, folks, here on YouTube. And if you don't know, we record this live every Tuesday on Twitch.
Yes,
so feel free to come on over because we do a lot of fun stuff before the show, during the pre-show, and then after the show as well. Sometimes we take Q&A. I'll rank games. We'll do impromptu top threes. It's awesome. We'd love for you to join us. That's every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Pacific, over on Twitch.
Yep. And if you can't make it, you can always hit that eye in the top right corner screen or follow the links down in the show notes. Because this is the R&R episode 34, but there's the episode 34 extended edition where you get to see all those extra goodies, the Q&A, my revelations about how I personally was responsible for breaking down a worldwide government. All kinds of crazy stuff is revealed in the extended edition of the show.
That's right. And that is a true story, folks. You've got to see the extended edition to get that story from Richard. It's awesome.
Yep.
Speaking of awesome, what do you have on the table there?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Let me go to the overhead view. This is Decorum, which is a new cooperative game coming from sponsor of the show, Floodgate Games. And it's funny, actually, Jen and I played this for the first time this morning because I really wanted to have played it with her before I got on and talked about it a little bit. And we played Mission 1, and that was so good. Jen said, well, let's just go again. And we played Mission 2, and we actually finished Mission 3, and we were both just having such a blast. I'm like, honey, I have to stop. I have to get ready for the show that we're about to do. But what is it? This is a game where players are working together to decorate the house they live in. There's 4 rooms: the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, and the bathroom. And the thing is, as part of setup, we find out what the house looks like when we move in, what type of decor is spread around from room to room. But we also get personal requirements, what we need to see in this house to be happy. And the thing is, we cannot share that information. And so every turn we are going to basically manipulate stuff. Like, let's see, based on who I am. No, I don't want to do that because I don't want to spoil anything from Mission 1. These are the Mission 1 cards. But let's say, Ruel, we just moved in together and we see this house. And the first thing I do is I decide to paint the living room red. And that's it. Now, here's the deal. I did that because I have a secret goal. Maybe it's a secret goal that I have to have all rooms on the ground floor painted red. Or maybe it's a secret goal that I have to have rooms painted red, painted whatever color the lamp is, or something like that. I've got a list of my own goals. The problem is, Ruel, you have a goal that says, I don't know, something like, the leftmost rooms, they have to be painted green. And so I make this change, and all we can talk about is you can say, I love it, which means you saying that, that actually helped you with one of your objectives. Or I hate it, which lets me, all I know is I have just hurt one of your abilities to make your objectives. Or I could take it or leave it. In which case, I suddenly realize me doing this has nothing to do with your objectives. So you've given me a little bit of information, and you have a little bit of information. You know, for some reason, I want a red here, but you don't know why. And so what do you end up doing? You say, yeah, you know what? I like the red, but on your turn, what about green? What about green? And now it's my turn. I've got to say, you know what? I like it. It works for me. And because all of a sudden you realize, so obviously I had some kind of objective that could have been met with green paint in addition to red paint. And chances are that objective I've got is going to raise its ugly head elsewhere. And over the course of the game, we're just going to keep adding elements to rooms because, hey, I want to make sure I have got antiques on the top floor. And I have an objective that says I have to have an antique in every room. And look, here's 2 antiques hanging on the wall. And that's really great. But what if, Ruel, you have an objective saying that you have to have one room that's all green. And so later on you go and do this. And you're like hoping that, all I needed was this, but no, I needed this to be an antique. And so then I got to decide, well, crap, okay, you need that, and I tell you that was really bad for me. Do I change it back, or later on do I say, no, that's okay, I'll just put an antique painting in the room instead? And then you say, yeah, that's okay. So over time, we start learning more about each other. And it's interesting, each one of these cards has a little thematic description that kind of gives you certain clues as to what somebody might like, and we're supposed to introduce ourselves and all of that, so that's all very fun. And now, it might still seem impossible through this, passive communication. But after a certain number of rounds have passed, we will have a meeting of the minds, and each player gets to tell the other one of their requirements. And whatever the thing is that you've been doing that's been driving me crazy for the whole game, I can suddenly tell you. But it turns out, I look at my list, I have to tell you both of these things. Which one do I tell you? Because you keep messing up both of them. And meanwhile, you have the same thing, and it is a blast. Like I said, I had other things to do this morning. So did Jen, but she just kept wanting to play a mission after mission after mission with this because it's so fun. If you play 2-player, it comes with this campaign of 20 missions that you play through. And certain things are unlocked over the campaign. I will not show you what these are, but I've gone on ahead and looked, and these are awesome. These additional things that get added over the course of the game. And now if you're playing at higher player counts, there's all of these that can be played as 3 or 4. And the thing is, to make the game work, there have to be fixed puzzles, because it can't be that it's literally impossible for us to achieve the same thing. So the game comes with a fixed number of puzzles, but as I understand it, the developer are already developing tools that will allow randomly generated missions that will give infinite replayability. So those are going to be coming soon, as is the game itself. And it's a blast. The first couple missions were pretty simple and just like, is this a little bit simple? Then we got to the third one and we really started butting heads. And we just kept, there was at one point where Jen systematically, okay, well, how about this one? And I say, nope, and I removed it. Okay, what about this one? And it was like we were actually getting into a fight over how we were going to, and we were kind of role-playing it. Because you can just say, I love it, I hate it, whatever. But no, we always end up saying, oh my God, that pulls the room together. That's perfect. Or, were you raised in a barn? How can you think that's acceptable? And you just end up role-playing throughout. And the interesting thing is, I played this at Dice Tower West Convention with a couple of guys in a 3-player game. I didn't know them from Adam, but we were doing the exact same thing. Just, we couldn't help ourselves but role-playing through it. Oh, there's one more brilliant thing. When you're playing at these higher player counts, when you have those meetings of the minds, or house meetings they're called, everybody has cards with fewer objectives, but then we all have a bonus objective. And when we get to the meeting of the mind, if I'm playing a 3-player game, I can show my extra objective to one of you, but not both. And so now 2 people around the table understand why this has to be this picture. And the other player is then trying to figure out what is trying to go on. It's really cool, really fun. Very, very fresh in the game. I love imperfect hidden communication games, or cooperative games. And this is just one of the coolest I've seen. Decorum. And that's what's on the table.
I was also very fortunate to play it at
Dice Tower
West. I got to play with Ian from Floodgate Games and also Amanda Panda and Shannon from Chip Theory. We dove deep. We went to like one of the expert missions right off the bat, and boy, it was no joke, man.
Yeah.
It was such a great experience. And you know what, you're right. Like, so I did this one, and then I also got a sneak peek at it during Gen Con for a 2-player version. But both times I noticed, and you're absolutely right, you get in the role-playing game,
you can't
just
stop
instantly.
yourself. Yeah.
You know, it's like, you're just doing, it's like, oh, that looks so tacky, or oh, that's perfect. You know, it's like, what kind of taste do you have? It's so much fun, and it's a fantastic game. Decorum, love it.
Well, that is one game, but we are here to talk about a bunch more, folks. You came for a top 10 crowdfunding Kickstarter GameFound games, didn't you? Well, We want to give that to you. But before we do, there's one other fundraising campaign that's going on right now that Ruel and I want to talk to you about. And if there is only one thing you back this month, please consider backing the Uganda Village Board Game Convention 2022. This is such a big deal. It has the potential to change the lives of hundreds of children. And if you come to this, there will be a link for this down in the show notes, so definitely go check it out. If you come to this page, watch this video. Watch these kids talking about what a difference board games have made in their lives, as well as the education. This is actually a convention that's being run by a local school, and they're just trying to get all the resources they need to be able to bring hundreds of kids in and house them for days so they can play. Like this kid right here, my jaw hit the floor when he said, "Oh yeah, my favorite game is Great Western Trail. I really love that one. It's taught me a lot about problem solving." And I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so important to remember that what our hobby can do. And if you have ever been in a situation where you ask, well, what can I do to help spread the hobby? This is it right here. And in fact, I feel so strongly about it, and they've got a ways to go. They've got 26 days left. They're trying to hit their 4,100 pound target. I'm going to do it right now and put my money where my mouth is. £100. Donate. Let's do it. And don't need to. All right. I need to sign in.
Sure you don't,
okay, hold on a second.
Let's get the scene here just to make. There it is.
There we go. There we go.
Look, we got there's a thing called security. We got to be safe here. But that's wonderful, Richard. I admire that you're doing. I will also be backing this, folks. I won't be doing it live, but I will be backing this as well because I do truly believe in the power of games that will change lives. And not only, these kids, not only are they being educated and learning about this great hobby, but remember, folks, these are the future gamers and game designers.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So who knows out of these, one of these kids may be the next Alexander Pfister. Who knows? You know, so let's give them the opportunity. Richard, I'm going to follow your lead right after we're done recording this. I will also be backing this.
Cool. Yeah. So please, folks, follow the links down in the show notes. They actually have some very, very cool rewards. You could just back just to give the money, but they have things where you can get passwords so you can actually play with the kids digitally. Or you can get autographed pictures of the event sent, autographed by the kids. So there's some cool stuff you can get out of this as well. But the main reason to do it is to know that you're literally reaching across the world and helping people and making their lives better through the power of board games, which is what brought us all here today. And so I'm super excited about it. So again, if there's we're about to do a top 10 countdown, but this is the number one, crowdfunding game that's available in the month of April. Definitely.
Yes.
Okay.
So go check it out, folks. Again, there is a link in the show notes below. Feel free to check that out, and we would love to see this get funded. I'll be backing it real soon here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many of you are like me. Oh, I only discovered board games late in life. Let's let these kids discover it early in life and just change the trajectory of their lives. Yeah, I mean, we could literally do that. So anyway, but okay, enough about that. I think we've made the folks wait long enough. Ruel, do you have a few other Kickstarter and GameFound games you would like to talk about today?
I do, and I've got plenty. And again, as we do these shows, this one we do every month. And like you, I'm sure we had this huge list of games we want to talk about, but we have narrowed it down to our personal top 10, folks. This is the R&R top 10 games on crowdfunding games coming up that we're looking forward to. But before we get going, why don't we talk about a secret word?
Oh yes, let's do that. Let's do that, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, folks. That game I just talked about, Decorum, which is awesome sauce, I cannot stress enough. One of you lucky viewers is going to get to win a copy mailed to you anywhere in the world, courtesy of sponsor of the show, Floodgate Games. But Ruel, how do they win?
Well, how they're going to win it, folks, you're going to watch the show and you're going to listen to us. One of us is going to say the word purple. And when you see P-U-R-P-L-E, the color purple, when you hear that, make a note of the game that we're talking about and send the title of the game, not the color purple, but the title of the game in email to contest@rahdo.com, and you'll be entered to win your very own copy of Decorum. Now, why did we pick the word purple? You have to watch the pre-show for that. And that's live every Tuesday, friends. You can find out exactly why. And, honestly, it was the audience that picked the word for us. So you can be one of those that help us pick the word every Tuesday. And again, send the game name in the subject to contest@rahdo.com for your chance to win Decorum.
The hint, the purple has to do with parrots and rainbows. But that's all we'll say.
Great. Yeah, that's all we're going to say. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Cool.
I love it.
All right, folks. Well, that's it. Listen for Purple. One of us is going to say it. Send that email in, and you have until, let's see, let me pull up the calendar, until April 5th, 2022 to get that entry into contest@raw.com. If you missed the window, sorry, but you know what? We do this every week. We'll be giving away something next week, too. So definitely be sure to tune in. Okay, then, without any further ado, Ruel.
Oh, wait a second, Richard. Aren't we forgetting something?
Yes, I am. Oh my goodness. Thank you for reminding me. Folks, before we get to the main list of the 10 that we're really excited, we've got a few other games to talk about because there are actually several games that are going to be covered on the channel in the month of April and maybe May in some cases. And we generally don't put those on our top 10 list because we're already covering them. And we're already really excited about them. And so we want this show to be about, highlighting as many things as possible. So, without any further ado, let me come over here and talk about another, looks like maybe 12 games or so. Let's start with Assault on Doomrock, the Ultimate Edition. Actually, this might be live this very second. When I woke up this morning, it was supposed to go live. It hadn't gone live yet, but Shay has done a fantastic run-through of one of my favorite fantasy co-ops of all time. This is a new Super Ultimate Edition, streamlines the gameplay. If you haven't seen it yet, you'll see the video for it very shortly. It's got a great sense of humor, a really unique approach to combat, and we're going to be covering it on the channel this month. Then we've got Autobahn. This is one I covered. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. You'll be able to see my run through for it coming soon. This is a very crunchy Euro game all about Germany recovering from the Second World War all the way up to the modern day, rebuilding their industry thanks to the extension of the Autobahn. And here's the thing that really makes this stand out, Ruel. It's a pick up and deliver game that Jen and I actually like, which is a rarity. Nice. And when you see how they did it, you're like, wow, why don't all pick up and deliver games do it this way? Okay, then there is Cookie Run Kingdom, the board game. Now, this is tied in, I guess, with a very popular app video game, which I have not played. It looks very adorable. It's about a kingdom being built by little gingerbread people, and then they have to fight off monsters and whatnot. And we'll be having coverage of it when it goes live. Then there is Cytress, which is interesting. We first talked about this last year in a show much like this one. We're just like, hey, this sounds really cool. And the developer, it's actually funny, the developer of Cytress did a reaction video of us talking about the game, saying where we got it right and where we got it wrong. It was awesome. I was just watching it this morning. But anyway, it turns out, it seems really cool. And we are going to be covering it when it launches. This is a game that is best described as Matt Damon's Elysium, the board game. It's a worker placement / action selection game with a table presence that supplants Everdell. And actually, in terms of looks and functionality, watch for that run through coming soon. Then there is Damask. This is interesting. This is a more abstract game about spinning silk. And you know Rodney Smith of Watch It Played? He always says, I never give opinions about anything. I just saw a video of him talking the other day saying, this is one of the best games I played recently. When he saw it at AirCon in the UK. He was very excited. And so if Rodney is going to break his own self-imposed gag rule and say, this is a game I very much enjoyed, well, it's probably something it's worth paying attention to, and we'll be covering it when it goes live. Then there is Dead by Daylight. I'm not sure if we're going to get this one in time. We're still trying to figure out, when the launch date is and if we'll get the prototype. If so, this will be a vampire hunting game with a really great presentation that Shay will be covering. And then there is a Dunhaung, Pearl of the Silk Road. And, I brought Shay on the channel mostly to cover, adventure-y, Ameritrashy style games. This is one he was so excited about, and he did a great job. You'll see his video run through for it soon. This is a worker placement, goods conversion style game. The interesting thing about it being set on the Silk Road is every time you play, you combine a different combination of modules that adds a different set of unique game-changing rules. So the game keeps reinventing itself every time you play. Very, very neat sounding. And then there is Nightmare Cathedral, which I believe has already launched. But in theory, a prototype is on its way to us now, so we hope to have a video up before the campaign for it is over. What's interesting about this is, you wouldn't know it, this is from Board and Dice, and it has all the interesting crunchy gameplay, Euro gameplay of a Board and Dice game, but it's a gothic horror setting, which is unlike anything they've ever done before, so that is very, very interesting. Paradox Initiative is a remake 2.0 reboot of a very cool Bejeweled style Euro-y puzzly game I covered over half a decade ago. I just finished filming this the other day. Very impressive. It improves in every possible way. And probably the most important or the most amazing thing to me about this game is the lineup of artists on this game is absolutely phenomenal. I believe the baseball term is a murderer's row of incredible artists. Think of all the biggest names in the industry. There's a good chance they worked on Paradox Initiative. I'm not going to name names because they're going to be rolling that out as it gets closer to the campaign, but oh my gosh, wait till you see just how beautiful this game is. And then Sea of Legends, Vengeance of the Empires, I believe. And we actually covered this last year. And so this is a new expansion of a very, very cool and very popular narrative-driven adventure on the high sea pirate game. And Stellar Expedition, when I watched Shay do his preview for it, and in his final thoughts, he said, "You are never going to get closer to Star Trek, the board game, than this game. Because it is all, for the most part, about peaceful exploration of the galaxy. Yes, combat happens sometimes, but this will give you all of the Enterprise vibes, or by which I mean Star Trek Next Generation vibes. So it seems very, very cool. Through Ice and Snow, man, there's a lot coming, Ruel. Oh my goodness.
There's so much good stuff here.
This is a big, another interesting Euro game, all about charting a passage through charting the Northwest Passage. And the interesting thing about this one, we've talked about this one on a previous, upcoming Kickstarters as well, is that players, even though we're competitive, we're all competing for glory, we're all part of the same expedition. And so what one player chooses to do affects everybody as we try to explore, as we try to build infrastructure, as we try to make connections. And it's very, very sharp. My run through of that will be coming soon. And then the last one, I don't have a picture for. It's called Unseen Domains. We may not get this one in time. This one might be in a future month. But I put up a box cover for Asonia because this is from the same publisher as Asonia. It's set in the same dark, alternate, Middle Ages Europe as Asonia, where magic has shown up. And actually, every game that publisher Unseen Domain or the publisher has put out is set in this contiguous Unseen Domains. And this is, I believe, the fourth game set in their universe, and it's the biggest, boldest, splashy adventure game. Asonia is one of the best deck builders I've seen in years. So if they did such an amazing job in their Unseen Domains universe with a deck builder, I'd be very interested to see when Shay covers it, when they do a big, expansive, exploration, adventure style board game. Phew! That's a lot. Thank you for reminding me.
That is a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So let's get back to it then. Let's talk about a bunch of cool Kickstarter games we're excited about. You're taking the number 10 slot, right? What is number 10?
Number 10 on our list of top 10 games on Kickstarter is...
Yes.
Coming up. Get ready for it. You ready for it?
I am ready for it.
Dark Quarter. Dark Quarter, folks. Coming soon, or real soon, from Lucky Duck Games.
Okay.
And this is actually a partnership that Lucky Duck Games and Van Ryder Games are doing together. This is from Evan Derrick. Now, that designer, if you don't know,
I do not know,
designed some fantastic games. Detective, City of Angels, Final Girl, which was a huge hit, and also Dark Moon, which I haven't played, but I know it's a similar game to Battlestar Galactica. But anyways, Dark Quarter, what this is, and the reason why they're partnering is Lucky Duck has done a series of games called Chronicles of Crime.
Okay.
And it is an app-driven game, a mystery detective solving game. So they've taken that, the technology part of it, and partnered with Evan Derrick and Van Ryder Games to put together this story. Is set in 1980s New Orleans. So we've got this sort of noirish, dark vision of the city, and you're going to be playing. It's a rich, dynamic story. Players make decisions, and you're going to try to solve the mystery here, solve the crime here. And what's really cool, what I'm really excited about, not only just the marriage of the app and also the gameplay, is that the characters that you're playing campaign, they don't change from scenario to scenario. This is a multi-scenario campaign, folks. They're woven into the fabric of the story itself. So, as the characters change, decisions are going to change, characters are going to change, and some of the events are going to change. I think this is going to be a huge hit, just based on, you can see here on the Board Game Geek page, some of the early stuff here. Wow. I'm just excited because I know how good City of Angels, Detective City of Angels was. And also, I haven't played Final Girl yet, but people love that game. And I think when you throw in the possibilities with like the Chronicles of Crime style app, this is going to be a huge hit.
No, that's a big deal.
Right?
Yeah,
Check this out, friends. Yeah, Dark Quarter from Lucky Duck Games.
Cool, an excellent entry. I have to admit, I am embarrassed that I did not know the designer, because I have played Detective City of Angels, and it's phenomenal. And I have not played Final Girl, but I played its prequel, Hostage Negotiator, which I assume is from the same designer again, and that was a phenomenal game too. So you have definitely, I mean, I saw that on the list, and I'll be honest, just based on the box art, it didn't really grab me, and I didn't look past that. I was like, a murder mystery thing, okay, I don't know. But Lucky Duck Games and Van Ryder working together, that's a pretty, that's a superhero, team up if ever I heard one. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's got the, not only do you have the app, because, Lucky Duck knows how to do their thing with Chronicles of Crime, but then you throw in Evan Derrick, who's done Detective City of Angels, super thematic, and you meld the two. I think it's going to be a huge hit, and I'm looking forward to it. That is Dark Quarter from Lucky Duck Games.
I love it. Okay, well then, let us move on to number 9 on the list. See if I can get this on the screen. Yeah, number 9 is Royal Hospital, which I believe is going to be coming on Kickstarter this month, very, very shortly. And I have to admit, I've got a soft spot for the subject matter. I am very, very keen on hospital management. There's been quite a few games over the years that have done it, although a lot of them tend to be on the lighter side, or they take their inspiration from Theme Hospital. But the thing that really grabbed me about Royal Hospital, which you can go to Kickstarter and you can click the button like I have to be notified when it goes live. By the way, folks, that is true for every single one of these campaigns we're talking about today. Scroll down into the show notes. There will be a link taking you to the pre-launch page, and you will be able to learn more. So anyway, Royal Hospital is a game. Let's see, there's not much here on the pre-launch page, but I just want to show a little bit on the Facebook page, which I just loaded up too, of some people playing a prototype. This game is a card-driven one that has a lot more going on. There's a ton of stuff that's being modeled in this simulation, and reading it, and looking more into it, I very much get a vibe of a game from last year that I really dug a lot, Funfair, which was, a really rich engine building game all about, making the best, carnival attractions and rides you can do. In this game, it is a card-driven engine building game where you're trying to run a hospital. And so a lot of the cards you play end up making you specialize in certain things, but all of them make you stronger at what you're here to do. Save people's lives. And, and how are you going to get the funding for that? What do you specialize? I mean, what type of doctors do you have on hand? What types of transportation do you have access to? Ambulances and helicopters to rescue lives. And so there's it seems like, from what I've seen, a fairly robust hand management, engine building element game where, okay, I'm really going to focus on these things. I'm going to be really good at that. And now I want to start doing that. What's the other half of the game? Curing the patients. And the interesting thing about that is they're all a bunch of cards that are all face down. And you just know roughly, I believe, what the severity is. But it's not until you say, okay, I'm going to put that patient, bring them to my hospital, get them on the helicopter, get them on the ambulance, whatever it is, bring them over here, and then you flip them over and you find out what do we actually have to do. Because it's not until you get them, in the critical care room or the OR, and you open them up that you find out, whoa, we really need these particular resources to be able to pull it off. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you discover, a clock starts ticking for these people. And I'm always big on games where the passage of time is a major element of the game. And so over time, once they've been flipped, they only have a few rounds, and you just put more tokens on them to indicate that they're getting closer and closer. You have to get the resources in place. Will your engine provide that? This all sounds fantastic to me. Again, I love the subject matter, and I love a really good card engine game. And like I said, last year, Funfair just knocked our socks off, and number 9, Royal Hospital, might do the same.
Yeah, this just missed the cut for me, but
Oh, yeah?
I am absolutely 100% interested in this subject matter as well. I've got a lot of family in the medical industry,
Oh, really?
hospitals and whatnot. Yeah, and Michelle, actually, my wife used to work as a respiratory therapist way back in the day.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
yeah, anytime there's any kind of medical theme game, she's like, we got to check it out, and this is definitely going to be one that we want to look at. So great choice,
All
Royal
righty.
Hospital. Okay, let's move on to our number 8 on the list, folks. Number 8 is Birds of a Feather, Western North America.
Western North
this
America.
this game is from a new company that
Yes.
was just recently announced. The company's name is Snowbright Studio. This is a re-implementation of a game called Birds of a Feather, which I played many, many years ago at one of my first public game nights.
Oh my gosh.
And they have re-implemented this, yes, and I'm super excited. It's a lighter game, but what they've done is taken a lighter game and added just a little bit more strategy involved. And what you're doing is you're looking for birds, right? And I love the fact that birds are like the hot thing these days. Wingspan and whatnot.
Yeah.
Here you'll also be looking for birds. You're literally a bird watcher, and you're going to see different birds and different habitats. And where you do, each player simultaneously is going to reveal a card, and you're going to mark off that card, like what bird you saw, what habitat, and so forth. And the game progresses. I think it's like 7 or 8 rounds until you play all of your cards from your hand. And each one that you mark off, it may help other players as well.
Right.
So the habitats are like different colors, like blue, yellow, purple, whatnot. And if if you have, a card that plays in that, you will score it, and so will someone else. And what you're trying to do is, gather as many birds as you can in your habitat and what you've seen. I remember this, again, as a game that started our game nights back in the day. Light and fun, yet just enough there for serious, more hardcore gamers as well. And what they've done for the update is, done new artwork. They've
Yes.
Supposedly improved the graphic design. They also include a mini expansion and additional rules for a 2 and 3 player game, because from what I remember, this plays great at like 6 and 7 players. So I'm really looking forward to this, and that is Birds of a Feather, Western North America.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this one too. I also very much enjoy a good bird-themed game. And by the way, the pictures are from the earlier version that was from a half a decade ago. As you said, it's all going to get completely revamped, latest cutting-edge art. But I like the idea that once I play a given bird, that means on future turns, other players want to play the card that matches what I played. So I've kind of opened the door for them. And I think that's so really cool, this idea that we're just kind of playing them and putting them in the center, and then, these are things we can all score in the future. But did you ever play it as a 2-player game back in the day? Because I don't know how that works, or if it's going to be better at higher player counts.
Yeah, and that's why I'm really curious, because I've played this only at a minimum like 5 players. It would always be like, I remember who was there first at the game night, we would all play this together, and no less than 5. So I'm really curious to see how the 2 and 3 player new rules are implemented.
Yeah, me too, definitely. Okay.
Cool. All right.
Well, that is cool. Let's then move on to number 7 on the list, Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is not on Kickstarter. This one is actually on GameFound. Let me go on ahead and bring that up. And this is a project draft. You can go ahead and continue. And so this is a narrative adventure cooperative game set between the Crusades and the Hussites and the Con folk to Con the Middle. What I'm interested in is the way that they want to go about doing storytelling in this game. There's actually not that much information here, as I recall. But actually, interestingly, they just say, if you go to the GameFound page, first of all, you can mark that, hey, I'm interested, I want to follow this. But then you can follow the link to Boardgame Geek. And I will now open that, because the description here gets a little bit more interesting. And they do show some of the components. It's, the world expands. It's off of a bunch of cards that get played as we move around. And we have, typical, I don't think there's any fantasy in here. I think this is more kind of like a hard history type world that we're in. I'm not 100% certain about that. But what really got my attention, this is going to be the second time today, folks, that Ruel and I are talking about how excited we are about apps in our board games. games, because this game has a very, very strong app integration for the telling of stories. And they really do talk about that a lot in this description, about how the world remembers what you do and will actually change, and you will develop relationships with these people. Stuff that can be done with traditional stacks of cards and chits and whatnot, but they become very, very difficult and burdensome to keep track of all that stuff. And in this game, the app does that for you. And we've seen this in other games, Mansions of Madness and whatnot, but it seems like the implementation, the integration between the game and the app is even stronger here. And actually, what really caught my attention and fired my imagination more than anything else, really, was the adaptive sound design. Your actions not only alter the story, but the soundscape itself. I don't know about you, Ruel, but we have a really nice Bluetooth speaker in our game, or on our game table, and we just fire up Melodice and play music, that's kind of thematically tied to the games. Yep. I love the idea of a game that has a soundtrack that, as we change things, as things get more dark or grim, or we have a big success, that the music will actually change dynamically to respond to the experiences we are having in the game. It sounds like a dumb little thing, but music is so incredibly important and creative, evocative, and emotionally powerful moments. And I don't think anybody's hardly done anything with it. And so, but it seems like this is kind of a cornerstone of this app-driven medieval era narrative adventure. So I am excited and interested in all of that stuff. And oh my gosh, why is none of this on screen? Has none of this been on screen the whole time?
No, so what's going on?
What the heck? Am I in the... Oh, hold on a second. Yep.
Okay.
And, I said open in this window. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. I opened in a new window, and I didn't know. And I was showing you all these pictures all this time of the game.
I thought because the page wasn't live, there were no links. So I was like, okay. But you know what? I want to comment on that. I love that fact that you have almost like a living, breathing soundtrack to the game as it's played. That is so exciting to me. I love that. Like, you're going to be playing, you have your little soundtrack, and then as things get more intense, the music ramps up. I mean, it's like, it's very cinematic, right? I think that is awesome. Wow, that's so cool. Yep. I had no idea this was like that.
Yeah, that's what really drew me in. And I will definitely be wanting to learn more as this thing goes live. So I've definitely got it marked because, again, I know some people out there just want nothing to do with it. And you know what? That's fine. This is not a game for you. Not all games are for everybody. But for folks like me and Ruel, and we're excited about how the industry can evolve and change and how games can be more than just things that sit on. I want a game that's an active participant, that knows what I'm doing and makes decisions about that and actually changes itself. And an app will do that for you. Sure, I could go play a role-playing game and get a human dungeon master. That's great too, but that's not really something Jen and I can pull off very well together. So that's why games like Kingdom Come, the board game, or Deliverance are so interesting to me. And apologies for not putting the images on screen. I totally had them on the wrong screen. Sorry. But anyway, let's move on. Yeah. I won't goof that up again. What's our number 6, Ruel?
Well, before we get to number 6, I got to comment real quick. I'm glad that you mentioned Melodice, because I don't think enough people know about
my gosh,
Melodice.
You're right.
It's a wonderful site, right? And maybe I'm going to add to your list of things to do for work. But if you could add the link to the show notes, I think people would appreciate that. Melodice, folks, if you don't know, here, Richard's showing it right here on screen. Check it out. I will let you run through it. Just a quick example.
Hey, we're going to play some Agricola today. How about I type in Agricola on melodice.org? Oh, here's all the different games of Agricola and other games that are kind of close. Just Agricola, please. Thanks. And this is a playlist that was actually made by fans of the game. Most of the stuff you'll find in here is taken from video games, but sometimes it's from movie soundtracks or just, classical music, depending on what it is. And, so a lot of this is from, Civilization-style video games. Here's something from Deadwood and, very sundry things. Anyway, you just start playing and then it just becomes background music. If there's certain tracks you don't like, you can mark, that one didn't really fit, so you won't hear it next time you come here and stuff like that. It's great. I've been using Melodice for years. There's so much, and don't feel bad if you come up with a game, you're like, there's nothing for this particular game. Well, that's okay. Just pick another science fiction game or another, Egyptian era game. Okay, if the game you're playing isn't there, just find Raw. Here's a whole bunch of Egyptian music Egyptian theme music that you can play in the background of Tigris and Euphrates. Although I bet you Tigris and Euphrates is well known enough; it has its own list too.
Yeah.
I love Melodice. Melodice is not a sponsor of the show, but it is a great system. Melodice is why I went out and bought a nice high quality Bluetooth speaker, because I just have that paired with my phone, and when we sit down to play, I fire up Melodice and we just start playing music, and it just brings the game to life.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I love that site, and I think more people should be aware of it. So, sometimes I'll it's easy when you play like a Marvel themed game. I'll just go to YouTube and throw on they have 10 hours of the Avengers theme music and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Melodice is very specific, very very cool site. Check that out, folks. But hey, let's get back to our list.
Yes,
we're going to move on to our number 6, which is coming right up here.
Yes.
Come on now. It is Anastyr. And I'm thinking it's Anastyr, not Anastyr. Anastyr. This is a game by, let me make sure you got the link there. This is a game from Mythic Games, the new one coming out. Wow. This, just like all other Mythic productions, it looks awesome. I mean, look at those minis, folks. If you're into minis and games, I mean, this is what you're looking for right here. This is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players, so it does have a solo mode. And you are your hero. You're equipping heroes. You can go fight enemies, wizards, warlords, and all kinds of stuff, depending on the different environments that you go on. And as you complete your quest, you're going to level up and improve your character and in an adventure campaign. And the cool thing about this, I mean, of course, all the cool minis and everything, all that stuff. They said that they tweaked their combat system a little bit to emulate brawler video games.
Yeah, what does that mean? I saw that. Did you?
Yeah,
know what they mean by
interesting? That? So they're you've got your cards, but you also have special dice that you're gonna use to basically, and I've used this word before, come up with combo-tastic turns where you're unleashing the combos on your foes, and hopefully you can synergize and can defeat the baddies there. And I just think that's cool. I'm looking forward to trying that specific combat, because there's so many different ways you can do combats in board games, right? And I would like to see how this one works. As always, you have asymmetric abilities. Each hero has a specific deck for that hero, so that they have different fighting styles and so forth. And as you do the campaign mode, that deck will improve and your character will evolve over games and stuff. Right. So it seems to be, it appears to be, it's going to be one of those quick playing games, but because of the campaign, it will take a while to get through it. So I'm excited about this. Mythic Games, they produce some hits, and that's why I'm looking forward to Anastyr, and that's our number 6.
Okay,
Anastyr.
Cool. Is it cooperative or is it competitive? Do you remember?
Yes,
it is a co-op game. There we go. Okay,
yes,
cool. Well, that piques my curiosity then too.
I figured it would. So there it is, Anastyr, folks.
Yeah, Jen and I were very impressed last year by Mythic's Solomon Kane, which was a really far-out co-op, unlike anything else. So, yeah, I mean, if this is a follow-up, definitely interesting. Cool.
Yep.
Alrighty, then. Moving right along to number 5, we have got Thorgal, the board game. And I'm not sure if that means it's if there's a book or there's a video game that's tied to Thorgal. The fact that they call out that it's a board game, I have to admit I didn't really look at that very closely. What really got my attention about this, and this is on GameFound by the way right now, well, there's a few things. One is Portal Games. In Portal Games, they have some of the best produced games consistently out there. And I'm really, really intrigued too, because, let's see, where was it? Oh, yeah. So, this is a big Book of Maps style game, roving adventures all around the world and all of that. I imagine it's probably going to do a lot of the kind of stuff we expect. Let's see, I think that 10 standalone scenarios, each one taking, an hour and a half to 2 hours to play. They are not a campaign, so it's just a bunch of independent stories. It's got a Book of Maps, lots of travel, lots of adventure. All of that is very, very nice. None of that is why I put this on the list. I put this on the list because, while it has a strong narrative element, it also features a fan-favorite selection mechanism similar to Puerto Rico or Race for the Galaxy, where every turn, one player chooses an action and everybody else follows that action. Yes, please. One of the greatest Euro-style gameplay mechanisms of all time that pretty much only exists in the realm of Euro-style games. There's lots of games that have done it over the year. Transferring that over into a big, bombastic, heavily produced adventure game, that's interesting. That is chocolate and peanut butter. That is fusion gameplay, which is why I'm really, really stoked. And again, Portal Games, their big thing is storytelling in games. I mean, their founder, not sure, he wrote a book called Storytelling in Games, or I forget the exact title. So, I have the utmost confidence this is going to be an engrossing narrative, but a narrative not driven by the traditional, let's just move 3 steps and roll some dice and hit some bad guys, but using, the following mechanism from some of my favorite games of all time. That really gets me interested in a big way in Thorgal, the board game.
Yeah, I remember seeing this and I passed over it. I didn't even realize it was a Portal game, but then I had no idea it had that Puerto Rico / Race for the Galaxy mechanism. That gets me excited, so I need to check this one out as well. Yeah, that's great. Okay, good call. We're going to move on to our number 4 now, friends.
Let's do it.
It is, come on now, 4. Let's see, is it showing up?
You can do it, number 4.
Open a second. Come on, 4. Fujiyama.
Okay.
This is a lesser known game. I don't know if you saw this one.
You know what? I did see this. I did see this, and I actually spent some time looking at it, and I just couldn't quite get my head around it. So please inform me, because it looks lovely. It looks so warm and charming and inviting. It says it's heartwarming yet strategic. So let me put it on the screen. How about there we go.
That's the one. That's the one that got me right there. Heartwarming yet strategic. And I actually went to the webpage, and it is a Japanese-based company. And there's just this thing with the Japanese board game designers. I mean, they're doing some wonderful work out there. They have the Tokyo Game Market twice a year. Oink Games is based there. Very cool games, very streamlined. And in this case, Fujiyama. This is actually not 1 but 2 games. You're going to be backing Fujiyama and also Ajisai, I believe, but we're going to talk about Fujiyama first. This is about the creation of Mount Fuji, and it's a tile laying game. And again, it is beautiful. But here's the thing, Richard, that I'm really excited about. This is a tile placement game where instead of taking tiles from a common deck or whatever, you're going to take tiles from your opponents on either side of you.
Okay,
and that's what's going to determine how your view of Mount Fuji is created. It almost reminds me, if you ever played Lanterns, the tile game back in the day from
oh my gosh, yes,
Chung. It sort of reminds me a little bit about that, where your opponents can sort of determine what you get. But this is more strict tile placement. And what this is cool is what makes this really neat is that if they take your tiles, you don't just get hosed, or you don't just take your tiles or whatever. You're going to get compensated with an animal piece, so that'll help your score and stuff. So again, it looks beautiful. I'm really interested to check out that mechanism. And then the second game that they're also kickstarting at the same time is Ajisai. Ajisai.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going along with that. If you could scroll down to the bottom there, right there it says Nanaro Hydra. Yeah. It's about hydrangeas.
Hydrangeas, okay. It's this one. All right.
Yes. But here it is. You see the beautiful hydrangeas? It's an Othello-style battle game. I have not played Othello, but I know it's a classic abstract. They've taken that and replaced it with this whole beautiful hydrangea, flowers and stuff. And I don't know Othello, but what I do know is that you're going to be flipping these tiles and changing colors depending on where you move, and you can trap your opponents and stuff. So it is an abstract game, but again, it looks beautiful. I'm going to definitely check both of these games out, and that's Fujiyama.
I have to admit, I'm very embarrassed. I saw this entry, and the whole charming yet strategic. I'm like, I want to put this on the list, and I actually spent first of all, I'm an idiot. I didn't recognize that it's 2 separate games. I feel very silly about that. But I looked at the other one, the Fujiyama, and the idea that I believe it's that, okay, we were tiles, and I end up giving you a tile, and I want to give you a bad tile that's not going to be good for you. But then if you end up using it anyway, then you get an extra, or I get a reward. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. So I kind of want to give you a good one that you want to use, because then I'll get a reward. But by the same token, I don't want you to use a good one, so I want to give you a bad one that you won't use. I thought that sounded really cool, and I'd be very interested to know how that works for 2, because the whole thing is, as you said, I'm doing this with the player to my left and my right.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too, how the 2-player version.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it looks wonderful. I love it.
Wow, I am even more embarrassed. I didn't even see there was a whole second game that looks just absolutely lovely. Well,
Yes.
good call. I am very glad you caught that one because, I think that's worth definitely checking out. As is, folks, our number 3 from Northwood, which I have to admit I had not heard of at all until last night around 1 a.m. when I am dutifully going through the 700 games that are on pre-launch status on Board Game Geek. And here's the thing, Ruel, I was really shocked. This month, more than any other time, there was just a cavalcade of amazing stuff on GameFound. GameFound, watch out, Kickstarter. GameFound is coming for you. This week, I had more GameFound projects that I was interested in than Kickstarter ones, quite frankly. And one of them is definitely for Northwood, which is a solo trick-taking game. And I have to admit, I'm really not that into trick-taking, as a general rule. And honestly, I'm not that much into solo. But the video that they've got on here, which is, one of the great things about GameFound, is they can do so much more with their track pages. They can put videos. They actually have, forums where people can talk. Although apparently, not many people know about For Northwood yet. But they should, because, let me see, they just had Taylor here. I'm not familiar with him. Apparently, Taylor was in the middle of doing a month-long stream, or videos about solo trick takers. And I don't want to spoil his video, but he declared this one was the best one he played over the month because it added so much more. And Taylor did such an amazing job of getting me excited about this as he was demonstrating it with a digital implementation, but this is obviously going on GameFound to get a physical copy. So here's the deal. It is a trick-taking game doing all the standard trick-taking stuff of, there's the lead and you have to follow. If you can't follow, then you can, use alternate suits and there's trump suits and all of that. And the way it works is, as part of setup, there are a bunch of absolutely adorable animals. And at the beginning of a round, you pick one of these animals to say, hey, this is the animal I am going to befriend. But that means, okay, to befriend that one, I have to win 6 tricks. In the upcoming rounds of trick-taking. Or, that one's a bit easier. I only have to win 3 tricks to get that particular one. But what you're doing there, when you pick which animal you're going to visit, you are committing to, I must win exactly this many tricks. No more, no less. Which is something you see in some trick-taking games where you have to hit a specific score. And so you have to do that. And then you just start playing solo trick-taking against a deck. The deck is always the lead. They always draw the first card. And so then you have to follow, or you can break and just follow all the regular trick-taking stuff. But the trick is, as you actually make friends with these creatures, if you can hit the targets you set for yourself, they give you cool special powers that let you break all the normal trick-taking rules. And as well, there are ally cards that are on the board at all times as well that let you, change cards, draw extra cards, swap them, break the normal trick-taking rules. And I actually watched, again, I can't say how late it was at night. I was just so entranced by Taylor's demo. It's like, this looks like so much freaking fun. I definitely want to try it. And now, I'm just going to throw this out there for the developers of For Northwood, which, hey, congratulations. It looks like you have made an absolutely phenomenal thing that I didn't even know existed. Solo trick-taking. And apparently you've done it better than anybody else. I am hoping, maybe if you're successful, maybe if you have a stretch goal, you might do the whole Ownerim thing and come up with a 2-player set of rules too. Because, as I was watching this, I could totally see how, with a few tweaks, I could play this 2-player with Jen, and both of us are working cooperatively. We've had a few cooperative trick-taking games over the last few years. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are like, it's not quite there. I think this could be one of the best. It already looks, well, according to Taylor, who studied all of them, it is the best solo trick taker. And again, go check out the GameFound page. The links for all these are down in the show notes. Watch a few minutes of Taylor walking through this digital implementation. And I think you will be as impressed as I am with our number 3 For Northwood.
Wow, I need to watch that video. I didn't know solo trick taking was a thing, honestly. So
it's a thing.
Yeah, this is news to me too. Yeah, I this just got past me, but that's what we're here for. It is, dig up those gems.
Yeah.
And I am excited about this. Yeah, I played, some cooperative trick takers. It's like Fox in the Forest duet or duel or whatever it is, and stuff like that. But this, a solo one, I'm all about it, and it looks adorable. The art looks so cute, and that's good call. Thanks. I'm definitely checking that one out.
All right.
But let's move on to our number 2. We're gonna, that's a wonderful choice. But I think you're gonna like this one. I'm almost positive this was on your list as well.
Yeah.
Our number 2 is Anunnaki, Dawn of the Gods.
Ah, yes. Folks, if you want to know if this was on my list, another reason to watch the extended episode is, after we're here done doing the show that you're watching right now, we're going to go back to the live audience, and we're going to tell them all the other games that didn't quite make the list. And I'll tell you whether Anunnaki made my list or not. But Ruel, why don't you tell the nice people about it?
Yeah, it's a 4X game by Simone Luciani. And if you don't know that name, folks, Luciani, Sulkin, Barrage, Voyager, Marco Polo, you can go on and on. Just an amazing designer, and this is the latest, and we'll see if it's the greatest game. It's interesting. It's set in the past, but it's like a dystopian past, so you've got mythology and sci-fi clashing, and I like my 4X games, so you're going to be building bases, recruiting troops, and exploring, developing your tech. Partnering sometimes with trade contracts, but of course you're eventually going to start fighting using your armies and stuff. And this is what really caught my eye. Of course, the designer's pedigree, of course, caught my eye. But they claim to have this really interesting and innovative action selection system, so you can actually.
They don't claim, they do. This action selection
right?
system is amazing.
Yeah, right. And so, I don't know how closely you looked at it, but I thought it was interesting. Like, you can go down like a predetermined path, right? Actions path. And then you can they call it reincarnating the gods or whatever to perform those actions, or you can use pre-established paths, or you can give up some of those deities and jump freely from action to action. Which, wow, I've not heard of anything like that. I think that's really interesting. That you can have one path that you can do, or you can just jump from give up something and jump to jump.
Yeah, it's all to do with this star. This is every player's board that they've got in front of them, and basically there are all these different action tiles you can do that let you do different things. And of course, they're tiles, so they can be moved around, they can be changed, and all of that. But the thing is, once you do the action over on the far right side of the of your star, you do that action. The next thing you should do is the next one in order, because if you do these as you said on the prescribed path, then you will get to fill these spaces in between and get bonuses. So your ideal thing is, right, okay, what is the path I'm going to follow along this star? And okay, if I do it's like I'm forcing myself into a programming language. I do X and then Y and then Z, and I'll pick up all these bonuses. But at any given time you want, this is an area control game, and you know what? What you thought you were going to conquer, maybe you can't conquer anymore, and to heck with that, I'm not going to do this action. I'm going to jump all the way over here and start making a different path. This is one of the coolest action selection systems I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. That's really exciting. And, again, it's going to change based on, what your opponents are doing. And, hey, maybe I can't take that path now. I've got to jump over here in order to fend off so-and-so coming out. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see this. And that's why it's our number 2. I want to say, am I saying it correctly? It's such an interesting name, right?
Anunnaki, I think.
Anunnaki.
That's my guess. Dawn of the Gods. Yeah. Like you said, from one of my top 10 designers of all time, Simone Luciani. Yes, obviously it didn't make my top 5, which is what this list is. My 5 favorites, your 5 favorites fused together. But I have more thoughts about it. Definitely.
All right.
And I definitely think it earns this spot so high on our list at number 2. But nope, there is another one that I don't think you will be able to argue against, Ruel. It is very important now that we talk about the number 1 game on our list today, Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies.
Yeah.
Did you know that was coming? I mean,
oh yeah.
Of course you did. But did anybody not see that coming if you're actually paying attention? This is another one that's on GameFound, by the way, I should point out. And just in case the name Sleeping Gods doesn't mean anything to you, this is the next game from designer artist extraordinaire Ryan Lockett. And Sleeping Gods was a big, expansive, narrative, story-driven game that has hundreds of hours of gameplay, and probably more so than any other board game in history, really captures that open world feel. Go wherever you want, do whatever you want, that we see so often in video games like Red Dead Redemption or something like that. And Sleeping Gods truly brought that into board gamedom and did it brilliantly. I mean, I think it's gotten near universal praise. Absolutely amazing. And so now here's a sequel. And this is not the same game, or this is not an expansion. This is a whole new game, because in the original Sleeping Gods, we were in this fantastical Land of the Lost style world, and we were basically getting around from place to place on a 20s era steamer ship. Now we are flying around. We are traveling the distant skies of the land of the Sleeping Gods. So I expect traveling around the world will be different, because, hey, no surprise, it is different to fly than to sail. But I expect the same incredible presentation, the same epic, wonderful, warm, and human, just beautifully told stories and whatnot, and really, really smart gameplay. Sleeping Gods was a co-op. This is another co-op where players share control over a ragtag group of people who are just trying to find a way to get home, much like Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition when the greatest earthquake ever known. I will stop right there. So the subject matter is great, wonderful, warm, evocative. Everybody loves Sleeping Gods, and I can only assume this is Ryan, or the artist-designer, taking all the lessons he learned from his magnum opus and doing even more with it, which is why it's our number one, Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies.
Very, very, very nice choice. Cannot argue that one bit. Ryan Lockett, as he said, a board game designer, artist, extraordinaire. Amazing. Can't wait to check it out.
All right.
Well,
cool. We have done it again, Ruel, once again. But the question is, did you folks do it? Did you hear one of us say the secret word purple? If so, what was the game? Send that to contest@rahdo.com. You've got a week to do it, and hopefully you can win a copy of Decorum from our sponsor, Floodgate Games. And believe me, you'll be very happy if you do. I've just been sitting here the whole time. I just want to get Jen back in here and keep playing.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So that'll be it. That's it for today, right?
That would be it then. We are done. Okay. And one other thing I should say before you go, folks. By the way, if you are having trouble catching the secret words, I understand. We can be pretty sneaky about it sometimes. Did you know that if you subscribe to the Twitch feed, which means you can watch us live on Twitch without ads, or if you back the Rahdo Runs Through Patreon for just $1 a month, you'll unlock all kinds of benefits, one of which is we'll just come right out and tell you when the secret word was, so that you can enter the contest without any of the stress of trying to, listen. So just throwing that out there in case you're curious, but otherwise, Ruel, thank you for weathering the storm, or the lack of power, as happened this morning, and showing up for one more episode. Thanks for everybody watching, and most importantly to me, at this point, thank you very much to sponsor the show, Floodgate Games. Have a nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.